As a digital artist, I have a big problem, and you might have it too. The tools that I use for creating can also be used for consuming. It's a little bit hard to get anything done when you have free access to the entirety of the internet on your fingertips. But cutting out completely doesn't seem to be the answer either, because a lot of the inspirations and references that I gather are from the internet, not even to mention the learning and education content and tutorials that actually help me achieve my goals. Along the years, I have been trying so many things to kill procrastination, but those are the 10 that stuck. Media fasting. This is pretty close to intermittent fasting, the diet thing. I've been trying to do that for quite a while. I usually don't eat anything until 1 or 2 p.m. And I find that really helps me control the amount of food I have during the day and not snack as much, because I'm really good on having good choices for the main meals and bad choices for snacks. And by only eating the main meals kind of keeps me away from the sweets and the snacks, and there's always sweets and snacks because I have kids. So I also found a similar behavior when it comes to media consumption. If I watch anything early in the morning, I tend to be distracted for the entire day. So I'm trying to keep myself from watching anything until 1 or 2 p.m. and doing any research or shop for anything. So pretty much staying away from the internet until 1 or 2. And that has been helping me wonders. It's insane the amount of focus I've been able to get in the mornings now. And I really recommend for anybody to try. But that being said, I was only able to successfully apply this now. And I tried this before and I failed when I had a full-time job, because too many messages in the morning, so the first thing that you do when you log in is actually go on the internet to say hi to everybody, make yourself available, and start answering questions and having messages and meetings. And that work would distract me from work, which is weird to say, but that was the reality. And it really kept me from my main task and made it really easy to be distracted and to wander around and start researching something. And that would carry along during the day to the point where I would have to work longer hours just to make up for the time that I was distracted and not doing as much. I kind of still need to be connected the whole day. I have clients, I do freelance work, so I have to reply to emails and messages, but the time expectation of me getting back to them is not the same as if I was in a full-time job, so that really helps. And the second tip actually helps me keep it up with the first one. Different tasks, different devices. What do I mean by that? I'm not telling you to go out and buy a bunch of different laptops. What I'm telling you is the more I try to stay out of the internet, the more it draws me in. And if I have full access to the internet on my main computer, I found out that I get way less done. So now that I don't have to be on top of the messages all day long, what I've been doing is my desktop now, it's 3D art and video editing only. I have not been doing any internet browsing, not even typing here. I made my laptop my internet browsing, my research machine, anything that I need to do that involves the internet, I try to do it here. I didn't cut access to the internet on my main computer because I still have to go on meetings with clients and things like that and screen share the work that I'm doing. So I do open some exceptions when it's needed, but for the most part, that devices are exclusive. And this one, I have a little bit more freedom, but I used to watch some things here and there, but it's mostly work research, watching tutorials, typing the scripts for this video, this kind of work, all done on this device, and even replying to emails from clients and things like that. So when I start my day, I open the laptop first with the browser open and my email, and usually I don't have anything at the very beginning of the day there. So by detaching those two, it helps me that when I'm on my desk, I'm doing stuff. If I'm not doing stuff, I gotta get up. And that it really makes me aware of when I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I recently canceled my Adobe subscription because I use DaVinci Resolve for editing my videos, and I've been using Procreate on the iPad for a lot of my 2D stuff. So all my 2D digital work I've been trying to do on the iPad, and if I need to sketch something quick, I'm actually trying to use paper more because it's the least resistance and least distraction media I can find is just come to my drafting table and do and actually using pen and paper like the old days. And to actually watch long form content instead of side watching as I'm doing something, I'm trying to actually focus on it and use my TV more. Change environments often. By using different devices to do different things, I'm no longer chained to my desk. I don't have to be there all day in order to feel productive. And to be honest, by being there all day was part of the reason why I wasn't productive to begin with. I was forcing myself to stay in front of that screen, and by doing so, I was open to way more distractions. But by changing environments as often as I can, if I know I'm gonna be typing for a long period of time, instead of just doing on my computer, I get my laptop and I walk over to the kitchen where I have a little bit more sunlight, different view, I change posture, and I actually get more things done. Storyboarding on the hammock has been one of my favorite things to do now. But don't take it too far, everything has a limit. I know I mentioned time blocks before, and I got that idea based on something that Casey Neistat said. And I think what he said was, take breaks for distraction, not from distraction. What I think he meant by that is, we spend the whole day doing multiple things at the same time and not really enjoying the distractions or committing to the actions. So my way of dealing with that, I call it time blocks. Other people call different things. I'm not coming up with this. But it's basically having hyper-focus time blocks. In my case, I'm doing 1 hour, 5 minutes. And so 1 hour of hyper-focus, 5 to 10 minutes of a distraction. So before I start my timer, I make sure to grab water and coffee or whatever I need. I get my phone and put it on the other desk. Not on silent mode because I got kids and maybe there's an emergency. And it's focus time. I don't allow myself to check my phone. I don't allow myself to get a snack. That's the only thing I can do is the task at hand or stare out of the window. And I do that sometimes. And then when that 1 hour is up, I flip to the 5 minutes one. I take a few step backs, and sometimes I fail, but sometimes what I like to do is just a quick workout. I just do a quick pull-up session. I don't do many sets. I do one set of either 10 or 20, depending on how I'm feeling. And then same with push-ups. And then I check my phone for a little bit, but not social media, just email, put it down, timer is up, 1 hour again. When it comes to the timer itself, I try to avoid using my phone for it. I find using the phone, like, it's a free timer, you already have the phone, but at the same time, it can invite more distractions into your life, and the whole purpose of doing this is to avoid that. So I wanted to get an hourglass, and this one was pretty cool, but the problem is I couldn't find an hourglass that I could afford that was actually an hour long. So what I ended up doing was I got a kitchen timer. It has the perfect range. It goes from 1 minute to 60. There is like those egg styles, there's a whole bunch. The one I ended up going for is the cube style ones because I found it was the least resistance to actually use it. So basically the way it works is I have the 2 blocks here. It came in a set of 2. I think it was like 20, 30 bucks. It's not the cheapest, but again, so 60, if I want to do a session of 60 minutes, I just put 60 up, and now the timer has started, an hour of hyper-focus. When I'm done, it beeps again, I put it down. If I want to have a little break, 5 minutes is up. And there is zero resistance to actually getting started. The thing, you just flip, it doesn't get easier than that. And I find that the moment I had to reach for something that added complexity to the system, I end up like, I do it later. Like I'm gonna do this one, I don't need the timer now. So try to find something that works for you that doesn't add distractions or resistance to the process. I found the like voice assistant works really well, and it can be on your phone or one of the home devices. Just say, like I don't want to trigger yours, but just ask the Google Assistant to put an hour timer, and that tends to work. But sometimes if my wife is at home or the kids and I don't want to be speaking loudly, I don't want to invite anybody in by saying something, and then like somebody's like, "Oh, are you talking to me?" Like so I find that the physical clock works better. Sleep well and avoid working late hours. Kids are in bed and I can finally finish this video. And by doing so, I'm not following the tip that I'm giving you, because I promised myself that I wouldn't work late hours anymore. And the reason for that is because I know that by doing so, I'm sacrificing the quality of my next morning. Anytime I work too late, I still have to wake up at the same time, and reducing the hours I can sleep reduces the amount of focus I have in the morning, and my resistance against procrastination just lowers, and I end up not getting as much done. And by anytime that happens, I end up having to go to bed late again just to catch up on the work that I was too slow during the day, and that sacrifices the next morning and just keeps going and going and going forever. So if you can, avoid working late hours. Just try your best to fit as much as you can during the day, and I promise, if you do so, you're going to be more productive, because usually my late hours of work are not nearly as productive as my early morning was. And that's actually a pretty good segue to my next tip. Be kind to yourself. Allow yourself to fail and forgive yourself for doing so. Today I had such a stupid reason not to finish this video in time. I had a haircut appointment and I didn't want to miss it. And I got there, the guy is late, there is a line, takes way longer than it's supposed to. And it's time to pick up the kids, and then it's Halloween, handing out candy and trick-or-treating and all that. So here we are. By the time I managed to get back here, it's 11, and I have to record the video in the basement so I don't wake up everybody. And ideally, I would just follow my rules and go to bed, but I know I wouldn't be able to sleep properly if I did so. So I'm comfortable with the decision that I made, and I know I'm sacrificing a little bit of my energy the next day, and I'm okay with it. And if for any reason you can't get the work done today, just try to enjoy it. If your kids can't go to school because it's a snow day, build a snowman, enjoy your time with your kids. And I'm telling that to myself because I have such a hard time doing so. I keep focusing on the things that I'm not being able to do instead of being happy that I actually get to do this other thing. Even if you're sick and you can't really focus on the work, instead of doing a half-decent job and getting pretty much nothing done but dragging your day in front of the computer, I don't know, catch up on an old movie that you've been meaning to watch, or a TV show, or the news, or even YouTube, or like all those things that I've been trying to avoid spending my whole day doing as I'm working. That's the time to do it, Do not multitask. Multitask is the art of taking 3 times as long to do 2 things with half of the quality. I always thought that I could pull it off, that I was different, that I can manage to pay attention on 2 things, and it's never 2 productive things that we're doing, right? Like, it's always a way to get away from what you're supposed to be doing in the first place. I think there is a time and place for everything. I like listening to audiobooks when I'm mowing the lawn or shoveling snow, but for most of the time, I like to be present on what I'm doing. And it's hard. It's really hard not to put headphones on when you're doing something. I think the first time I realized how bad things were for me was one day when I was doing VR arts, just sculpting in VR, and I wanted to do a time lapse of my process. So I put the camera up and I record myself with the green screen to do a cool time lapse. And when I went to edit the video, I realized that I put like whatever YouTube video was caught up with on the moment. I think it was just an interview. And in my mind, a podcast or an interview, I don't need to look at it. So it's not gonna really keep me from doing what I need to do. And I felt like I was so productive that night. Next day, I'm editing the video. And when I get to this session where I'm watching this interview, I sculpt for a little bit and I look to the side for a good couple minutes. And then I keep sculpting again and I look to the side. And if I just speed up the time lapse, a lot of the time was me just wandering to nothing because I had the VR headsets and I'm like, it looks like I'm frozen there. And that was horrible. Like seeing myself doing it was such a wake-up call. So my last 2 tips for you is a way to avoid falling on the same traps that I was falling on the beginning. Only start one new habit at a time. Don't try to force yourself into doing everything at once, because when you fail at one, it gives the illusion that nothing else is working and you just end up give up on the whole thing altogether. So slowly introduce each one and try, I would try for a few days instead of doing like, from now on, that's how I roll. You kind of have to slowly introduce the concept, be comfortable with it, and then you start incorporating more. I had enough failed New Year's resolutions to realize that introducing multiple habits at the same time, it's not helping me at all. Be routine-oriented instead of goal-oriented. I've been trying that really hard, and instead of focusing on the projects that I never finish, I'm actually trying to do a little bit every day in order to finish. Any day that I stick to my routine, it's a successful day. And those little successes accumulate, and that's how you get things finished. By daydreaming about the final product, especially if it's a longer project, you only see like, oh, it's gonna take a year for me to get that done. So it's okay if I just skip a couple days now because I have this going on. And then you skip a couple days, and that becomes a week. And similar to a workout, you miss a week, we miss a month. And when you realize that year that you set up yourself to finish that project, the year is gone and the project's still not finished. And I'm not saying that I'm above this, I'm suffering from this now. I filmed a short film about a year ago and I still haven't finished. And I pray that I actually manage to finish this within this year. So that's my actual goal. But that goal is not doing anything if I don't stick to my routine. So by doing the work a little bit every day and as much as I can, instead of daydreaming about the day I have that done, I might actually do it. And I think I'm on track, but I might be speaking too soon. Almost forgot an important one. You know enough, you have enough. You most likely have all the tools and equipment required to finish your project. They might not be the best quality, they might not be the one you wanted, but you do have something that you can use. And you most likely have all the skills required based on the stuff that you did before. So don't waste too much time researching new stuff in order to better your project, because the attempt of bettering your project prevents you from working on it. It's a double-edged sword because you want to be on top of everything and you want to have the latest software and skills and actually speed up your process by doing so and actually make things look better. But the way I'm trying to approach is I only introduce one new element per project, and I try to use that project in order to learn that new element. In this video, for example, was camera movement using a gimbal. I never done that before, like setting up and programming little rotations and whatever, and it kind of worked. I don't know if that's adding any value to this video, but I know for sure that when I try to use that in the future, I already know how to use it. So adding one thing at a time and focusing a little bit of research time for one specific element instead of trying to add the latest and greatest every single day. It's a good way of not letting learning stand in the way of making. Well, I guess I'm done.